This week, Locked On NHL hosts voted on their top 10 Hart Trophy candidates, and David Pastrnak was nowhere to be found. How is that even possible? How is David Pastrnak not a top 5 at the very least? I'm going to break it down, talk about the Atlantic Division Power Rankings, and preview tonight's game against Colorado here on a brand new episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. It's a game day, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. Free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, which provides you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com and use code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. That's JASE medical.com. The Bruins are hosting the Colorado Avalanche tonight. There were some reinforcements at practice yesterday. We'll see if any of those guys get back in the lineup. Linus, Ullmark, Brandon Carlo, Matt Poitras, Derek Forbort among the most prominent injured players right now. Before we get into it, a quick reminder, you can find the podcast on X, Instagram, Threads, at Locked NHL Bruins. And you can find me, my hockey thoughts and dad jokes, at Ian C. McLaren. All right, I'm going to read off a list of names here, and you tell me what's missing. Nathan MacKinnon, Nikita Kucherov, Connor McDavid, Quinn Hughes, and Elias Pettersson, Connor Hellebuck, Cale Makar, Artemi Panarin, Sidney Crosby, and Austin Matthews. These are the top 10 names on the Locked On NHL Power Rankings for Hart Trophy candidates as voted on by Locked On NHL hosts. Where is David Pastrnak? How is it even possible that he's not in the top 10 on this list? I think based on the extended voting, he was just outside the top 10, but it's inconceivable to me that he's not in the top 5, if not the top 3. Let's look at the numbers real quick here. Pastrnak currently third in NHL scoring with 61 points through 43 games, 11 points behind MacKinnon and Kucherov. So fair that they're in the top. Then you have points per game. You have Kucherov, 1.67, MacKinnon at 1.6, Connor McDavid, 1.53, David Pastrnak, 1.42. Fourth in points per game. He leads the NHL in shots, 215 through 43 games. And the Bruins are first place in the Atlantic. And this isn't a case of Pastrnak riding shotgun with Patrice Bergeron or gelling with one of his best friends in David Krejci. There have been times recently where he's been playing with Danton Heinen, Morgan Geekie. No disrespect to those guys, but these aren't the elite players that Pastrnak is used to playing with. He's coming off a career year in which, the Bruins as a whole thrived and they were pretty loaded from top to bottom. There's no question that there's been a talent hole with the departures of Bergeron, Krejci, Tyler Bertuzzi, Dmitry Orlov, Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, on and on. And still, Pastrnak is on pace to top the career year he had last season. 61 goals, 52 assists for 113 points. What's even more impressive to me this year is that his assist total is up. He's on pace for fewer goals, 50, but 67 assists. That means he is helping create offense And that is a huge need for the Bruins right now. He is creating, he's helping his teammates succeed. And the Bruins as a whole are one of the top teams in the NHL at the moment. First in the East, they are second in the NHL in points, second in point percentage as well. Yes, I understand that goaltending has been a huge reason why the Boston Bruins are in the position that they are. But the offense is being driven by David Pastrnak, and he is having a career year after having a career year last season, and despite the loss of talent back in the offseason. David Pastrnak was a Hart Trophy finalist last year, and deservedly so. Jim Montgomery was a Jack Adams winner last year, deservedly so. You could very much argue that both these guys are more deserving of those accolades this year because of how they're elevating the team as a whole in what was supposed to be a transition year. It's just inconceivable to me that David Pastrnak would be outside the top 10 in terms of voting. Yeah, McKinnon, Kucherov belong up there. Connor McDavid always in the conversation. What the Canucks are doing is impressive. Pettersson leading the way there. Quinn Hughes, yeah, Norris Trophy. You're not putting him in the MVP conversation. Connor Hellebuck, he should be in the conversation. But, Matthews, the Leafs are barely hanging on to a playoff spot at the moment. Sidney Crosby, same thing. Penguins on the outside looking in. Right now, the Bruins are one of the top teams in the East in the NHL. David Pastrnak is one of the main reasons why, offensively, to be sure. And it's just mind-boggling that he would not be in this conversation. I guess one knock is he's only got 35 even strength points, which is good for ninth, tied with Matthews, behind Crosby, Jake Gensel, McDavid, Pettersson, Kucherov. So you could argue, well, maybe his point totals are being boosted by the power play, but he's only fifth in that regard as well. He's getting shots. He's putting the puck on net. He's facilitating scoring with 35 assists, which is top 10 in the NHL, but very impressive. Goals, he is sixth altogether. He is third in points, behind only McKinnon and Kucherov. If you care about plus minus, he's a +7. Kucherov is a -3. If you care about the underlying stats, he's a positive player. Yes, he gets most of his starts offensively or neutral zone on the fly, but offensively, he's a driver, and he is cruising for the Bruins right now and belongs in the Hart Trophy conversation. At least top 5. At least top 5. As far as where the Bruins stand in the Atlantic Division and the power rankings, there's been a bit of a shakeup there, and we'll talk about that here as the podcast continues. Jace Medical has everything you need to get through what is shaping up to be a pretty brutal flu season. Right now, according to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin, right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses like UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among other things. Visit jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Thank you so much once again for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine, free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, we have recently launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel over there on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right. The Locked On NHL hosts, like I've talked about in the first segment, mix things up this week by doing Hart Trophy Power Rankings. Usually we do divisional or league power rankings. So I thought I would still take Thursdays to update the Atlantic Division power rankings. And there's a bit of a shakeup going on over there. Now, at the bottom, very clear who the lowest team is, and that's the Ottawa Senators. 15-24 this season, 30 points in 39 games, a .385 point percentage. A very disappointing season under new ownership. Yes, they still have tons of games in hand. 5 games in hand on Buffalo, Montreal, Tampa, Detroit, and Florida. 4 games in hand on our Bruins. Just 3 on the Maple Leafs, but they're not earning points in what they have been given. 3-7 over their last 10. Just an abysmal record of 4-13 on the road. They're not coming up anytime soon. Lights are probably out as well for the Buffalo Sabres. .477 point percentage. The Montreal Canadiens, they're not a playoff team either. .511 point percentage, which is pretty impressive with this group. Slavkovsky's come on in recent. They have a very solid top line in Slavkovsky, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, but the depth just isn't there. This isn't a playoff team at the moment. Those are the bottom 3 teams. There are 5 teams that are still in contention for playoff spots at the moment. And if you look at the wildcard situation, there's 2 Atlantic teams that are in those spots at the moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning, 22-17-5, 49 points, a .557 point percentage, and the Toronto Maple Leafs, 50 points through 42 games, .595 point percentage, and a healthy +12 goal differential. If you look at point percentage among the wild card hopefuls, Toronto still holds on to the top spot, but you have Pittsburgh, Washington, and New Jersey all ahead of Tampa Bay when it comes to point percentage. They have 2 games in hand. All 3 of those teams have 2 games in hand on the Lightning. So Tampa's in real danger of missing out on the playoffs, as are the Maple Leafs, to be honest. Pittsburgh, Washington, New Jersey, all there. The Leafs have lost 3 in a row, 4-4-2. You expect them to turn it around at some point. But right now, they are outside of the top 3 when it comes to the Atlantic Division. Now, that's not in terms of point percentage, as we'll see. Right now, the Leafs are 3rd in point percentage in the Atlantic, .595 compared to .580 for the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit has played 2 more games, and they have 1 more point. So you'd think that would probably balance out, but Detroit's won 3 in a row. Toronto's lost 3 in a row, and that has allowed Detroit to overtake them in terms of points for the time being. They both have identical +12 goal differentials. The Lightning, I should mention, are at a -3, which is just crazy considering the offensive firepower that they have. They've allowed 149 goals, which is more than the Senators and 1 fewer than Montreal. Now, last week, we talked about how Florida was probably rightly ranked ahead of Boston. They had been on a heater They were, I think, within 1 point of the Bruins. There's been some separation over the past week because Boston's won 2 in a row, and the Panthers have dropped 2 in overtime over the past couple of games. They're still 7-1-2 over their last 10. Florida is. Boston 6-1-3. But the Bruins currently have a 3-point advantage atop the Atlantic with 1 fewer game played. A 709 point percentage, 659. So that's a full, 65.9% for Florida, 70.9% for Boston. That's a 5% difference in terms of point percentage, which is pretty significant. So the Bruins holding on to top spot in the Atlantic. In fact, they're tops in the East, 3 points up on the Rangers with the same number of games played. They have a plus 30 goal differential, which is tops in the NHL. Tops in the East. And as we talked about on Tuesday, they're right up there with the Winnipeg Jets and the Vancouver Canucks as the 3 top teams in the NHL, all above 700, with the Jets having the best point percentage at 721. Vancouver's got the best goal differential, plus 54. Winnipeg's at plus 44. Boston's plus 30, so they're trailing a bit there. But they're right up there with the best in the league at the moment. Which brings me back to my point about David Pastrnak. He has to be in the MVP conversation because of how Boston has not just survived this transition year, but they're still thriving. And he doesn't have a consistent center. He doesn't have the playmakers as he did in the past. He's creating offense. He's on pace for a career year in points, assists as well. Put him in the MVP conversation. Like, what are we even doing here, people? If David Pastrnak is not in the MVP conversation, and he'll have a chance to improve upon those numbers tonight as the Bruins host the Colorado Avalanche, and that's a game we'll preview here as the podcast continues. If you're hiring in 2024, then Indeed is the place you need to be. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to their data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility by going to Indeed.com/lockedon. That's Indeed.com/lockedon. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Boston Bruins. That's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. In the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed. Get unparalleled access to job seekers at Indeed.com/lockedon. The Bruins are back in action tonight. A big game against the Colorado Avalanche. And like I mentioned earlier, they could have some reinforcements in the lineup in the form of Linus Ullmark. He could be ready. Maybe he'll back up. We could have Brandon Carlo, Derek Forbort. They both skated yesterday. And Matt Poitras also skated in practice. So could be a pretty different looking lineup here based on line combinations from practice yesterday. We had Marchand, Coyle, Pastrnak, Van Riemsdyk, Zacha, DeBrusk, Lauko, Beecher, Geekie, Heinen, Boqvist, Steen. Poitras was the extra skater. But on defense, we had Grzelcyk, McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, Witherspoon, and Shattenkirk, with Lorei and Forbort sitting out there. So we could at least get Carlo in and Ullmark as the backup at the very least, with the other guys ready to jump back in soon. Now, these teams played just 10 days ago It was a 4-3 shootout win for Colorado. All the talk was about the somewhat weak shootout attempt by Pastrnak in that one, but the Bruins came back twice on the road against a very good team, and that should have been the story in that one. Colorado, they're 8-2 over their last 10. They just beat Ottawa the other night, a comeback. They did lose to Montreal, but they have recent wins over Toronto, Vegas, our Bruins, the Stars. So some pretty good competition there. The Bruins are 6-1-3, but they've won 2 in a row. Overtime win over St. Louis, and then a big win over New Jersey the other day. A lot of talk about Alexander Georgiev and his heavy workload. He's 24, 10, and 2. Swayman's 13, 3, and 7. So that's 36. He's on track for like 60 plus, which is pretty rare in today's NHL. An 897 save percentage. So it's not really paying off that way. I mentioned McKinnon leading the league with 72 points. Mikko Rantanen's having a great season. A big drop off to third place, Jonathan Drouin. But they do have some depth tested right now with Valerie Nichushkin entering the player assistance program earlier this week. Mikko Rantanen leads the way with 8 points over their last 5 games. Pastrnak has 6. Special teams wise, their power play is 7th. Their penalty kill is 10th. Boston's 5th and 6th at the moment. The penalty kill has taken a bit of a hit recently. Colorado has the second ranked offense, 3.73. Boston's is 11th at 3.3. Bit leakier defensively, like I mentioned, allowing 3.11 goals per game, which is 17th. Boston at 2.63. So should be another entertaining match up between these two teams tonight. Let's check the FanDuel NHL odds and see what the over-under is set at. I would imagine it would be similar to the result from the other week, around 6.5 I'd put the over-under at. And sure enough, that's what it's at for tonight, 6.5. So could see a similar result, a 4-3 game like we had last week. If you think Swayman is going to stand on his head, 3-0 win for the Bruins. Who knows? But I'm excited to check this one out as the Boston Bruins host the Colorado Avalanche as they continue this homestand that they're on that will last 3 more games. On tomorrow's podcast, we will discuss whatever happens tonight and also preview Saturday night's game against the Montreal Canadiens, which will be featured on Hockey Night in Canada up here. I'm pretty excited. And then a big game on Monday between the Bruins and the Jets. That'll be a big measuring stick game for our boys in black and gold. Thank you so much for taking some time to listen. I hope you're all having a great week. Please do take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll be back tomorrow with a fresh episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, because we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which means your team every single day. Have a good one, friends.